guys. Hi guys. So happy full moon. Happy full moon. It's it's a it's a Libra full moon, and if you've been outside already, the moon is rising and it looks amazing. It's huge. It's a super moon, and it's the closest that it will be to Earth, the moon, this year. And it feels very apt that it would be over this Libra full moon that we are going to see this supermoon, because there's a lot happening already planetary wise, and I felt it compelled to share what's happening from my perspective, having followed the moon now for 13 years. I started in 2006, and following the planetary movements in the sky, and we've been seeing over the last 13 years, on me recording the moon, a teaching that the moon and the planets gave us, very much, I feel, to prepare us for this time now. So everything that we've kind of been learning from the moon, this is the moment where we're having to put it all into perspective and to start living it. And so this weekend really ignited it with the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction. Pluto being the very small dwarf planet, and Jupiter being the big expansion planet. And you have Jupiter, the planet of growth, of expansion, of abundance, of good luck, conjuncting with Pluto, which is the planet of death and rebirth, of transformation, of shadows, and of bringing things up from that's hidden. And here we have this conjunction illuminated by this Libra new moon, which is all about balance. So it feels very, very apt that we would be in a situation where we're really having to look at the way we relate with each other, the way we relate to the planet, and what's happening to us both as a collective species and also on a personal level. So let's start with the moon. So the Libra full moon, represented by the scales, and actually it's the only inanimate object in the zodiac, the scales. It's not a human, it's not a living thing, it's not an animal, it's an inanimate object, and it's balanced by the scales. And so Libra is all about bringing balance and harmony back into our lives, or recognizing where we might not be in balance and where we might not be in harmony. It also represents justice and the scales of justice, and I feel very strongly that this moon is really representing the balance, and the justice now, the balancing out of karma. So this coronavirus has kind of leveled the playing field in that everyone's equal. Yesterday, hearing the news of Boris Johnson being taken to the ICU ward shows the way life is, that this virus is indiscriminate. It's just whoever's unfortunate to get it, that's the person who gets it. There is no rhyme or reason to it. But at the same time, what we're seeing is there's an awareness to the things that are happening to us and why they are happening to us. And this is a real time to be looking at where we might be out of balance in our lives, both on a emotional level and also on a physical level. So what this coronavirus done has also just shown us where we are intoxicated in our bodies, and also where we need to bring our bodies and our immune systems back into balance, as well as the planet and the ecosystems back into balance. So there's lots of different levels happening here, levels of consciousness, levels of awareness, levels of change that are happening in order for us to become more realigned and more aware and more conscious of who we are and our actions on the planet. So Libra also represents, it is the harmony that we also need to find, and the fact that we're all connected as a one species. So by balancing out the karmic law is coming together now, that we're getting more of an understanding of what's happening in the world. So what I think is going to happen, what I feel and what I've been communicated, is that we're going to see the truth coming out now. And I think it's going to be quite shocking and quite scary for a lot of people. I think we're going to be seeing beyond the illusion of the matrix, and we're going to see more of a reality of what's happening. And this is again the Jupiter Pluto conjunction is is uh, is creating a death and rebirth for many people, and an expansion and growth and a contraction for others. So again, bringing things back into balance. So some people who have had a lot of influence and a lot of power, we will see that diminish. Suddenly people that have been in the limelight or have been in power, have been big leaders, they will diminish, and it creates a space for new leadership to come in, new awareness to come in, and a new consciousness to come in through thought leaders and light beings that maybe didn't have the opportunity before, are now, we're seeing that now with this level playing field, with the cracks that are happening, there's a real opportunity for people to step up with new ideas, new ways of looking at the world. And people are listening, because when the system collapses and the energy it shifts and changes, everyone has to face their own inner personal connection to change. And that's what's happening now. We're all having to face whatever is coming up for us at this time. And again, if we're not in balance, we're going to be seeing very clearly where we're not in balance, because we'll be able to see where our fear is coming up, where our anxiety might be coming up, our stress may be coming up, or contradictorily, where our joy is coming up, where our happiness is coming up, where our love is coming up, and our compassion and forgiveness. So really, it all depends on where your perspective is lying. If your perspective is lying with your cup is half empty, then that is how you're going to be living life, with your cup half empty. If you are able to see your cup as half full, then you will be able to see all the magic and mystery and beauty that is happening around us, because life is all about the balance. You can't have a burden without a blessing, and you can't have the blessing without the burden. It really is a balance of the two, and this Libra full moon is showing us exactly where that balance is out of whack, or where we need to bring more balance in. So if you've been feeling anxious or stressed or a little bit fearful, then definitely going out in nature is a real good tonic for that. Connecting in with the moon, finding time in silence to listen to your own inner wisdom. When we drop into our hearts, we often hear a different message than when we're stuck in our heads, because our heads are just trying to work out from what we know from a three-dimensional perspective, whereas our hearts have a more of a wider connection with the collective whole. So when we drop into our hearts, very often the message is very different, and it's much more calmer and more peaceful. So finding time in the day to switch off all media, to switch off all news, and just be in some time in silence can really help us drop into our own truth and our own sense of knowing and our own understanding of the experience, rather than needing to hear it from everybody else, because we all have an opinion and no one really knows what the truth is. No one knows at the moment, no one knows anything. Everyone has an assumption, and these assumptions can often be quite damaging if people get very, very stuck on them. So this is about recognizing that everyone is assuming, no one really knows what's really going on, and we won't know until we are a bit further down the line. We're still in the unknown, and when we try and work it out from the unknown, we can get ourselves tangled up in a lot of knots. When I went in my dark retreat, I learned so much. I was in a dark retreat for 14 nights and 13 days. And what I learned in that dark retreat is that you have to take, when you're in that darkness, you have to take each moment as it comes, moment to moment. That if you try and think too much into the future, you're going to be worried about what that's going to look like. If you think too much into the past, you're going to be somewhere that you're not. And so being in the present really helps us navigate the darkness. So if you're going through some darkness right now, it's going, just allowing each moment to come step by step, moment to moment, connecting in, allowing yourself to really just trust the unknown without trying to work it out, without listening to too many other people's opinions and finding your own inner truth will be really helpful to calming some of that stress and anxiety that might be coming up. Also, the Jupiter and Pluto alignment, there's 3 this year. Well, actually, there's been 4 alignments with Pluto. We had the Saturn-Pluto alignment in Capricorn in January, just before the coronavirus hit. And that Saturn is the planet of obstacles, Pluto being the planet of death and rebirth, showing where our limitations are, showing us where our fragility is, showing where our obstacles are. So with that huge alignment that happened in January, and then the coronavirus and everything that's happened since then, feels like it was all part of that process. Now we have that Jupiter-Pluto, where we're going to be seeing where we can expand and grow, where we can utilize this process of transformation, of death and rebirth, to really be able to grow and expand. And by doing that, we need to take away or get rid of or burn away anything that is no longer serving us. And I feel that this is the process now. And in any process of transformation, there is pain. It's painful. Something has to go. Something has to burn away. It's never an easy process of transformation. So this is a real moment now of accepting that it's being comfortable in the uncomfortableness. Accepting that in this uncomfortableness, massive change and transformation can happen. When a snake leaves its skin, it transmutates. Again, the skin that it leaves, that it has, is vulnerable. It has to get hard again. Likewise, as we release the old skin, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel vulnerable. It's going to feel like it doesn't fit properly, and it takes time. So, being patient, allowing time to take its course would really help, because we're so used to instant gratification nowadays. We take this pill, we do this medicine course, we do this, everything's going to change. And what this shows us is that actually nature takes her time, and things take time. So this is really about taking it step by step, moment to moment, allowing the transformation to happen over a slow period of time, and so allowing this slowing down. So this is on a personal, but on the collective, obviously we're seeing a massive shift in the environmental cleanup that's happening, because there's very few flights, very few cars on the road. Obviously people are staying inside, less consuming, completely less consuming. So we're seeing this dichotomy as our life changes. Actually the planet's clearing itself up, which is a very beautiful thing. So again, this stopping of activity is allowing the planet to breathe again and come back into some kind of balance. So the importance isn't what's really happening now. The importance is what's going to be happening later. But right now we don't know what later looks like. So this is about recognizing that the more of us that can transform at this time, that can use this opportunity that Pluto and Jupiter have given us under the Libra full moon, to release and let go of any destructive habits that are no longer serving, recognizing maybe where we were spending our money that wasn't really, the privileges that we had that have now been taken away, and really recognizing those things and seeing where we can modify our behavior once this is over, in order to maintain some of that balance and some of that harmony that has been that is really essential for us keeping a planet healthy for the future generations. So there's like I said, there's the burden and the blessing. It's a very difficult time. Humans are not meant to self-isolate. We are community-based beings that need physical contact, that need hugs, that need love, that need to be held and touched. I hope that this isn't become the new norm, and that we do go back to being able to be completely socially inclusive. It's really important that we don't lose this connection with each other, that we don't lose this physical connection, that this is a blip in time and we can come back to a time where we are able to mingle and hug and kiss. Because to keep us healthy and vibrant, we need to have that social interaction. It's a very important thing. So I feel that what this process is doing is actually recognizing what's really important and what isn't so important and what we can let go of. Again, under a Libra full moon, these kind of issues will be coming up over the next couple of weeks, enabling us to look at what we could be changing, how we could be modifying our lives, how we could be doing things differently once this quarantine is over, once um, this self-isolation is over. And I don't want to come back to normal, because normal wasn't working either. So it's, how do we find a way out as a community, as a collective, to support nature and Mother Earth, to support each other, to support our communities, and also to recognize what's really important. For example, the importance of the NHS. Suddenly, we've all known it's important, but now seeing Boris Johnson needing on the NHS, how important it is to be well funded, how our nurses and doctors are working so hard on the front line, so selflessly, so compassionately, so in danger of their own health, is what humans are made of. This is what we want to help. We want that. That's our nature, and to be able to support them in that, to be able to fund the NHS properly, to be able to see what needs to be funded to reduce the amount of our defence budgets, in order to put into more local community action to support our vulnerable. Everything that we're doing now, where their money wasn't there, is there. It's always been there. And I think it's, again, bringing that back into balance. And this is what the full moon does, is that it brings to the consciousness these discussions, these thoughts, these feelings, these value systems, in order for us to look at them and to decide how we are, not only as a collective but individually, going to move forward once this quarantine is over, because it will be over. There is an end to this. It's what happens next that's going to be the crucial point. And so using this time now to balance the situation with making those changes internally. So we are moving in after this after this Libra full moon, we will be going into Taurus. So we've got a few good moons coming up to really help us come through this in a very grounded, practical, balanced way. So very grateful for the moons and the planet for and everything coming together in a soup that is giving us an opportunity to really shift our consciousness, face some of the stuff that we've been suppressing for a very long time, show us how our lifestyles maybe weren't working as well as they could be, recognizing our relationships and how important they are, recognizing how important being able to hug is, how important being able to go around to someone's house for a barbecue, how important it is to be out in the sunshine and go swimming in the Lido. All these things, how important they were, and how we often took them all so much for granted. And finding that kind of gratitude, that there is a time at the end of this where we can go back to that, go back to the things that we love, and really with a sense of gratitude, and not taking it all so much for granted. And again, of course, gratitude and forgiveness boost the immune system, boosts our sense of well-being and our mental sense of well-being, and really helps us to navigate through some of the darkness. So it's a very powerful time. If you are feeling frustrated, if you are seeing a lot of injustice, then this moon can really ignite some of that too. So if you are feeling a bit like angry at what's happening, or angry on a collective level and on a personal level, this is the moon is igniting that. So rather than playing into the emotions of that, just taking a breath, recognizing it's coming up, and going into nature, planting your feet on the ground, hugging a tree, grounding yourself, surrendering to what you can't change, because fighting what you can't change is a futile endeavor. It was not going to get you anywhere. So recognizing what you can't change and recognizing where you can change is what gives us the most, it gives us the autonomy that we need. So Viktor Frankl wrote a beautiful book. He was in Auschwitz, and he basically, your prison is inside the mind, and the heart is always free. So if you are feeling a bit out of control, go back into the heart and see what you are in control of, because you're in control of your own emotions, you're in control of your own actions, you're in control of what you can do, and letting go of the external world and whatever's going on out there, and allowing and enabling yourself to be re-empowered by taking personal responsibility for your little corner of the globe. And we all have our own little slice of the planet that we're looking after, that we're living on. And if we keep that balanced, in harmony, full of love and happiness and peace, then we are vibrating that out in that little corner. It ripples out all across the world. So this moon, if it is bringing up a lot of that, it is because it's showing you where maybe you need to find more harmony, more peace, and more forgiveness, in order to be able to let go of things that you aren't in control of. So that's the Libra full moon. We are doing a cacao ceremony tomorrow night, but it is sold out, and we will be doing them every week. So do join on. I'm also doing a Find Your Power Animal on Friday, and the energy of the moon lasts for a good 3 to 4 days. This is a super moon, so it's illuminating the sky, and we are feeling it strongly. And so we're going to be feeling it right up until Saturday. So these feelings are going to come up for the next few days, because it's also, it starts tonight and then it goes on until tomorrow morning, and then it's going to go, so it's going to be like tonight, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. So there's a big time. I also suggest, if you can, going out and having a good old moon bathe. Nothing like a moon bathe to calm the soul and calm the heart. And how you do a moon bathe is you go outside in the full moon, preferably naked if you can, if it's not too cold. Naked moon bathing, always the best way of doing it. And you plant your feet on the ground, your soles of the feet, so going barefoot, and feeling your head opening, the crown of your head opening, and just grounding yourself in, feeling the electromagnetic connection coming up from Mother Earth, and then feeling the rays of the moon coming into the top of your head and all the way through your body. So you're just bathed with silvery moonlight. And this silvery moonlight is really, really magical. And as you tune into the moon and feel that and draw down that silvery moonlight into your body, into your cells, seeing that beautiful super moon of Libra balancing all your cells, igniting all your cells, making your cells feel really alive and tingly with all that lunar energy, so beautiful, and really boosting your immune system under the beautiful full moon night. Then asking the moon for messages, seeing if the moon has any messages for you, tuning into that silence, tuning into your heart, and just seeing what messages might be bubbling up, asking a question, some guidance, having that time with you and the moon. And it's amazing how once you're feeling that moon energy in your body, once you're feeling those silvery rays absorbed into your system and all your cells flowing and glowing with that silvery moon energy, then the voices of the moon can really become quite strong and loud. So tuning into the moon is really important, especially on this particular full moon. I feel very strongly that the moon is calling us to go out there and find out where we need to be in balance, where we need to find harmony, and to accept that justice is being served. We can't stop it now. Whatever the actions that you put out into the world, that's what's coming back to us. It's instant karma. So whatever's happening for you in your life, it's an instant karma thing, and you can't change it. It's the way of the natural law of nature. So this Libra moon is also a real moon to show us where we must let go. We must forgive ourselves, forgive others, and really surrender to this process, this process of justice that's happening right now. And it's going to be happening right up until, I would say, this time next year. It's a biggie this year. 2020 kickoff year. Been talking about it for ages. This is the year that we put everything that we've learned in the last few years were just dress rehearsals to what's coming next. So really, and we've got the moon, and we have Mother Earth, and we have so much support and help to help us through this process, and to help us come out of this in a way where everyone can really flourish, and we can leave a planet that's healthy for future generations, which I feel is where we're going to, is that reminder that we're stewards and guardians of this planet. That's our role, to look after this planet for future generations. And so now we're starting to see the next step to creating that reality. And that means a big sea change and a big consciousness change. So for me, the sea change is the consciousness change, and that's what we're seeing right now. And the moon, Jupiter and Pluto, Pluto and Saturn are all part of that process to give us that conscious shift in consciousness so that we can become real guardians and stewards of this planet and leave this planet healthy for future generations. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Enjoy your moon bathe wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care and stay safe.